The Castellano family gala was held at the plaza, in a ballroom that looked like it had been transported directly from Versailles. Crystal chandeliers dripped from gilded ceilings, champagne flowed like water, and everywhere Lily looked, she saw wealth so old and established it had its own gravitational pull. She felt like an imposter in her emerald gown, despite Gabrielle's assurances that she looked stunning. The dress hugged her curves perfectly, the color bringing out the warmth in her skin, but Lily couldn't shake the feeling that everyone could see through her, could tell she didn't belong in this world of old money and older secrets. "Breathe," Dante murmured against her ear as they stood in the entrance, his hand warm and steady at the small of her back. "You look absolutely breathtaking, and you belong here because you're with me. Remember, we're partners. You and me against the world." Lily turned to look at him, and her breath caught despite her nerves. Dante in a tuxedo should be illegal. The black fabric emphasized his powerful build, the crisp white shirt contrasting beautifully with his deep brown skin. He looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine spread, commanding, elegant, absolutely devastating. "You clean up pretty well yourself," she managed, earning one of his rare genuine smiles. "Come on. Let's introduce you to the Castellanos before the crowd gets too thick." The Castellano family held court near the center of the ballroom, 3 generations of Italian-American wealth and influence. Giovanni Castellano, the patriarch, was in his 70s but still sharp-eyed and formidable. His son Marco ran the day-to-day operations, and Marco's daughter Isabella was being groomed to eventually take over the empire. "Dante." Giovanni's face lit up as they approached, though Lily noticed his eyes immediately went to her, assessing. "And this must be the wife we've heard so little about. You've been keeping secrets, my boy." "Not secrets, Giovanni. Just privacy." Dante's hand tightened slightly on Lily's waist. "May I introduce my wife, Lily?" "Lily, this is Giovanni Castellano, his son Marco, and Marco's daughter Isabella." "It's a pleasure to meet you all," Lily said, grateful. Her voice came out steady and warm. Giovanni took her hand, not shaking it but holding it gently, European style. "The pleasure is ours, my dear. Dante has always been too focused on business, too serious. We worried he'd never settle down. Tell me, how did you two meet?" Lily felt Dante tense beside her. They'd prepared for this question, had rehearsed their story, but suddenly the practiced lies felt wrong. These people weren't stupid. They'd built an empire on reading people, on knowing when they were being deceived. So Lily did something risky. She told the truth. "We met through my father," she said simply. "His company was in trouble, and Dante offered to help. In the process, we discovered we had more in common than either of us expected. The marriage happened quickly, probably too quickly by most standards, but when you know, you know. It wasn't the whole truth, but it wasn't a lie either." Giovanni's eyes sharpened with interest. "Your father's company, Morgan Manufacturing?" At Lily's surprised nod, Giovanni smiled. "I know of it. Good company, solid reputation, hit hard by that lawsuit. Your father's an honest man, Lily. That's rare in business. And it speaks well of you that you'd stand by him in difficult times." "Family is everything," Lily said quietly. "Indeed it is." Giovanni glanced at Dante with approval. "You've chosen well, my boy. Beauty and loyalty, a rare combination. Marco, Isabella, let's give these newlyweds some space. Lily, we'll talk more later. I want to hear all about how you tamed the Ice King." As they moved away, Dante let out a breath Lily hadn't realized he'd been holding. "That was brilliant," he murmured. "You gave them just enough truth to be disarming without revealing the arrangement. Giovanni respects honesty. You made exactly the right impression." "I didn't do it for the impression," Lily said. "I just couldn't lie to him. Not completely." Dante's expression softened. "That's why it worked. Come on, let's get you some champagne. You've earned it." The next 2 hours were a blur of introductions and small talk. Dante introduced her to what felt like half of New York's elite, business associates, competitors, socialites whose names Lily recognized from gossip columns. Everyone was curious about Dante Russo's sudden wife, and Lily found herself answering the same questions over and over with practiced grace. But it was exhausting. Performing, always performing. Smiling until her cheeks hurt, laughing at jokes that weren't funny, pretending she belonged in conversations about summer homes in the Hamptons and winter skiing in Gstaad. "You're doing great," Dante whispered during a brief moment alone. "Better than great. Everyone's charmed." "I feel like a fraud," Lily admitted. "These people are talking about their third vacation homes, and 6 months ago I was clipping coupons to afford groceries. And now you're my wife. You have every right to be here." Dante's hand found hers, squeezing gently. "Besides, half these people inherited their money and have never worked a real day in their lives. You're genuine. That's worth more than all their vacation homes combined." Before Lily could respond, a woman's voice cut through the crowd like ice. "Dante. How unexpected to see you here with a wife." Lily turned to find a stunningly beautiful woman approaching, tall, slim, with the kind of polished perfection that spoke of personal trainers, private stylists, and probably a trust fund. But it was the look in her eyes as she stared at Dante that made Lily's stomach drop. Cold. Calculating. Possessive. Dante's entire body had gone rigid. Miranda. His ex-fiancée. The woman who'd betrayed him, sold his secrets, nearly destroyed his company. The reason Dante had built walls around his heart and sworn never to let anyone close again. And she was looking at Lily like she was an amusing inconvenience. "Aren't you going to introduce us?" Miranda's smile was all teeth, no warmth. "Or are you embarrassed by your little acquisition?" Lily felt Dante's anger like a physical force, but when he spoke, his voice was ice-cold and perfectly controlled. "Miranda, this is my wife, Lily. Lily, this is Miranda Chen, an old acquaintance." "Oh, we were much more than acquaintances, darling. Don't rewrite history." Miranda turned her assessing gaze on Lily. "So you're the one who finally got Dante to the altar. Tell me, how did you manage it?" "I tried for 2 years and never could pin him down." "Maybe he just needed the right person," Lily said quietly, refusing to be baited. "Or maybe he needed the right motivation." Miranda's eyes glittered with malice. "I hear your father's company was in quite a bit of trouble. How fortuitous that Dante came along with his checkbook right when you needed him most." The implication was clear, and Lily felt humiliation burn through her. Around them, other guests had noticed the confrontation, conversations dying as people turned to watch the drama unfold. "That's enough." Dante's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Whatever game you're playing, Miranda, it ends now. Lily is my wife. She's off limits. You don't speak to her, you don't look at her, you don't acknowledge her existence. Are we clear?" "Still so protective," Miranda purred. "It's almost sweet. But you should be careful, Dante. You have terrible taste in women, just ask yourself what happened last time you trusted someone." She walked away with a swish of her designer gown, leaving poisonous implications hanging in the air. The crowd slowly resumed their conversations, but Lily could feel the weight of speculation, of gossip already forming. "I need some air," she said, her voice tight. "Lily. Please. Just, give me a minute." She made her way through the crowd to the terrace, grateful for the cold November air that stung her heated cheeks. Behind her, the party continued, muffled by glass doors. Lily gripped the stone balustrade, trying to steady her breathing. She'd known this world would be difficult. She'd prepared herself for judgment, for curiosity, for the inevitable speculation about her marriage to Dante. But she hadn't been prepared for the casual cruelty in Miranda's eyes, for the way she'd reduced Lily's relationship with Dante to a financial transaction in front of dozens of witnesses. The worst part? She wasn't entirely wrong. She's a viper. The voice came from beside her. Isabella Castellano had followed her outside. Don't let her get to you. That's exactly what she wants. Lily turned to find the younger woman leaning against the balustrade, her expression sympathetic. You saw that? Everyone saw it. Miranda's good at making scenes. Isabella pulled out a cigarette case, then seemed to think better of it. For what it's worth, I think you handled it with remarkable grace. I probably would have thrown my drink in her face. Despite everything, Lily laughed. I was tempted. She dated Dante years ago, sold his business secrets to our family's biggest competitor. Nearly destroyed him. Isabella shook her head. My grandfather banned her from our events for years, but her father recently merged with one of our subsidiaries, so we were obligated to invite her. She's been circling Dante ever since, trying to get back into his good graces. Why would she want that? She's the one who betrayed him. Because Dante got more successful, more powerful, more wealthy. And Miranda always wants what she can't have. Isabella studied Lily with frank curiosity. But you're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone, harder, I suppose. More obviously ambitious. The kind of woman who'd marry Dante Russo for his money and connections. Isabella smiled slightly. Instead, you seem genuine. Uncomfortable with all of this. And the way Dante looks at you, I've never seen him look at anyone like that before. Not even Miranda when they were engaged. How does he look at me? Lily asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted the answer. Like you're the only person in the room. Like you matter more than the deal, more than his reputation, more than anything. Isabella's expression turned thoughtful. My grandfather noticed it too. That's why he approved of you so quickly. He values authenticity, and whatever else your marriage might be, the feelings between you seem very real. Before Lily could respond, Dante appeared in the doorway. Isabella, thank you for checking on my wife. Would you mind giving us a moment? Of course. Isabella squeezed Lily's hand as she passed. Remember what I said. Don't let the vipers win. Once they were alone, Dante crossed to Lily in 3 long strides, pulling her into his arms. I'm sorry. I should have warned you she might be here. I should have protected you from that. You can't protect me from everything, Dante. And she wasn't wrong. Lily pulled back to look at him. My father's company was in trouble. You did offer to help. Our marriage is partially a business arrangement. Those are facts. They're not the whole truth. Dante cupped her face, forcing her to meet his intense gaze. Yes, this started as business. But what we have now, that's real, Lily. You know that, don't you? Do I? Because sometimes I'm not sure what's real and what's performance. We're so good at playing the couple in public that I lose track of what's actually true. This is true. He kissed her, deep and possessive, not caring who might see through the glass doors. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. What I feel for you, that's true. The way I think about you constantly, the way I rush home to see you, the way you become the best part of my day, all of that is real. Lily's heart was racing. Dante. I know we have an expiration date. I know that in 2 years, the contract says we walk away. But right now, in this moment, I need you to know, you're not just a business arrangement to me anymore. You haven't been for weeks. It was the closest he'd come to a declaration of actual feelings, and it made Lily's eyes sting with unshed tears. You're not just business to me either, she whispered. You're everything I didn't know I wanted. They stood there on the terrace, wrapped in each other, while the party continued without them. Eventually, they'd have to go back inside, face the gossip and speculation, play their roles as the perfect couple. But for now, for this moment, they could just be Dante and Lily, two people who'd started as strangers and were becoming something neither of them had planned for. Something that felt dangerously like love. When they finally returned to the ballroom, the energy had shifted. News of Miranda's confrontation had spread, but rather than damaging them, it seemed to have generated sympathy. Several women approached Lily to compliment her composure, to assure her that Miranda was known for her dramatics. Giovanni Castellano himself sought them out before they left. "Lily, my dear, you handled that unpleasantness earlier with remarkable dignity. Miranda has always been difficult. But you didn't let her rattle you, didn't stoop to her level. That shows character. Thank you, Mr. Castellano. Giovanni, please. We're practically family now." He turned to Dante. "Your wife is everything you said she was and more. Consider our business approved, my lawyers will have the contracts ready next week." After Giovanni walked away, Lily turned to Dante in surprise. "The deal's done. Just like that. Just like that." Dante's smile was triumphant but also warm, genuine. "You did that, Lily. You won them over. Giovanni doesn't care about polish or pedigree, he cares about character. And you showed him exactly who you are. Who am I? Strong. Genuine. Loyal. Everything that matters." He took her hand. "Come on, let's go home. I've had enough of performing for one night. I just want to be with my wife." The drive back to the penthouse was quiet, both of them processing the evening. In the elevator, Dante pulled Lily close, and she relaxed into his embrace, grateful for his solid warmth. "Are you really okay?" he asked. Miranda's words hurt, Lily admitted. But only because they had just enough truth to sting. "Yes, this marriage started as a transaction. But you're right, it's not that anymore. At least not for me. Not for me either." Dante tipped her chin up. "I never expected to feel this way about you. To need you the way I do. It terrifies me." "Why does it terrify you?" "Because the last time I let someone close, she destroyed me. And you have the power to do so much worse, because what I feel for you is so much deeper than what I felt for Miranda. If you hurt me, if you leave." "I won't," Lily interrupted. "I know we have a contract with an end date, but Dante, I'm not going to betray you. I'm not Miranda. I would never sell your secrets or use you for gain. You have to believe that." "I do believe it. That's what scares me." He kissed her forehead. "I'm falling for you, Lily. Maybe I've already fallen. And I don't know what to do about our contract, about the 2-year limit, about any of it." Lily's heart soared even as reality crashed down around them. He was falling for her. He'd actually said it. But they still had that expiration date hanging over them, still had the terms of their arrangement binding them. "We figure it out together," she said, echoing his words from weeks ago. "One day at a time. And when the time comes, when we hit that 2-year mark, we decide then what we really want. No predetermined outcome, remember?" "No predetermined outcome," Dante agreed. Inside the penthouse, and the magic happened slowly with tenderness. Urgency of their earlier encounters. This felt different, like a promise, like a commitment that went deeper than any contract. Afterward, wrapped in Dante's arms with the city lights twinkling beyond the windows, Lily let herself imagine a future that extended beyond 2 years. A real marriage, real love, a life built on choice rather than necessity. It was dangerous to hope. But lying there with Dante's heartbeat steady beneath her ear, his hand stroking her hair with unconscious affection, Lily couldn't help herself. She was falling in love with her temporary husband. And despite all the logical reasons not to, she was starting to believe he might be falling for her too. The only question was, would it be enough to overcome a contract that said their marriage had an expiration date? The week following the Castellano Gala should have been perfect. The deal was approved, Dante's acquisition was moving forward smoothly, and by all external measures, their arrangement was a stunning success. But something had shifted between them that night on the terrace, something that made their carefully constructed arrangement feel increasingly fragile. Lily noticed it in small ways. How Dante worked later hours, came home more exhausted, his walls slightly higher than they'd been. How their dinner conversations, once flowing and honest, now sometimes stuttered with things left unsaid. How he held her at night with an almost desperate intensity, as if afraid she might disappear. She tried to tell herself it was just stress from the acquisition, from the increased media attention their marriage had garnered since the gala. Photos of them had appeared in society pages, business journals had speculated about the humanizing influence of Dante's new wife, and social media had been ablaze with commentary about the Ice King's surprising marriage. But Lily suspected it was something deeper. Dante had admitted he was falling for her, and now he seemed to be retreating from that. Vulnerability, pulling back behind the walls he'd spent years building. "You're overthinking again," Chloe said over lunch at a cafe in the village. It was their weekly tradition, the one piece of Lily's old life she'd insisted on maintaining. "I can literally see your brain spiraling." "I'm not overthinking. I'm correctly thinking." Lily pushed her salad around her plate without eating. "Something's wrong, Chloe. Dante's pulling away from me." "Did you ask him about it?" "Every time I try, he says everything's fine. That he's just busy with work. But I know it's more than that." Lily set down her fork. "That night at the gala, after the thing with Miranda, he told me he was falling for me. And ever since then, it's like he regrets saying it." Chloe reached across the table to squeeze her hand. "Honey, you're falling for him too. I can see it written all over your face. You're in love with your husband." "That wasn't supposed to happen," Lily whispered. "This was supposed to be business. 2 years, clean exit, no complications. Instead, She stopped, unable to say the words out loud. "In love with him," Chloe finished gently. "It's okay to admit it, Lil. You're married to the man. You live together, sleep together, share your lives together. Of course feelings developed. But he doesn't want them. He told me from the beginning, this has an expiration date. No emotions, no complications." I agreed to those terms. Lily felt tears threaten and blinked them back furiously. "I'm breaking our agreement just by feeling this way." "Screw the agreement. You're human beings, not business contracts. Feelings happen whether we want them to or not." Chloe leaned forward, her expression fierce. "The question is, what are you going to do about it?" "What can I do? I can't force him to love me back. But you can be honest with him. Tell him how you feel. See if he's willing to renegotiate your arrangement." The thought terrified Lily. What if she confessed her feelings and Dante retreated even further? What if declaring her love ruined the fragile connection they'd built? She could lose everything, not just the financial security for her father, but Dante himself. "I need to think about it," Lily said finally. "Figure out the right time, the right words." But as the days passed, the right time never seemed to come. The following Thursday, Lily was working in the penthouse office. Dante had given her space there to handle the charity work Victoria had helped her set up, when Victoria herself appeared with an unusual expression on her face. "Mrs. Russo, there's someone here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she's quite insistent." Victoria's tone was carefully neutral. "Miranda Chen." Lily's stomach dropped. "Miranda? Here? How did she even?" "Building security called up. She claimed it was urgent. I can send her away if you'd like." Every instinct told Lily to do exactly that. But curiosity, and something darker, a need to confront the woman who'd hurt Dante so badly, made her pause. "No. Send her up. But stay close, please. Of course. 5 minutes later, Miranda swept into the penthouse like she owned it, her designer outfit impeccable, her expression cold and calculating. Up close, away from the gala's glittering chaos, she was even more intimidating, polished to a razor's edge, beautiful in a way that felt weaponized. Lily. Thank you for seeing me. Miranda's smile didn't reach her eyes. I'm sure you're wondering why I'm here. The thought crossed my mind. Lily remained seated, refusing to be intimidated in her own home. What do you want, Miranda? To give you some advice. Woman to woman. Miranda settled onto the couch across from Lily without being invited. You seem sweet, genuine. Not the type who usually gets involved with men like Dante. So I thought I should warn you before you get hurt. Warn me about what? About who Dante really is. What he's capable of. Miranda's eyes glittered with malice disguised as concern. He seems different with you, I know. Softer, more open. But it's a performance, Lily. Dante is exceptionally good at making women feel special, at making them believe they're the one who finally cracked his cold exterior. And you'd know this how? From experience. Lily kept her voice level despite her racing heart. From 2 years of being engaged to him, yes. From watching him compartmentalize everything, lock away every genuine emotion. From realizing too late that he's incapable of actually loving anyone. Miranda leaned forward. He'll use you for whatever purpose you serve, in your case, securing the Castellano deal, and then he'll discard you without a second thought. If that's true, why did you betray him? Why sell his secrets if you loved him so much? Miranda's mask slipped slightly. Because I realized he'd never love me back. Not really. So I took what I could get, money, connections, a future that didn't depend on waiting for a man who'd never give me his heart. I was smart about it. You were cruel about it, Lily corrected. You didn't just leave him, you tried to destroy him. That's not the action of someone who loved him. That's revenge. Maybe. But at least I was honest with myself about what our relationship was, a transaction. You're lying to yourself, pretending this marriage is something it's not. Miranda stood, smoothing her skirt. I've seen the way you look at him, Lily. You're falling in love with your husband. And that's going to destroy you, because Dante Russo doesn't do love. He does deals. And when your deal is up, when he no longer needs you for the Castellano acquisition or his public image, he'll let you go without hesitation. You don't know him, Lily said, but her voice wavered. I know him. Better than you ever will. I was his first real relationship after he built his empire. I saw behind the mask before he learned to guard it properly. Miranda headed toward the door, then paused. Ask him about the contract, Lily. Really read it. Especially the clauses about what happens after 2 years. Then ask yourself if that sounds like a man planning to keep you around. After Miranda left, Lily sat frozen, her mind racing. She knew she shouldn't let Miranda's poison take root, the woman clearly had her own agenda. But doubt had been planted, and it grew with vicious speed. The contract. Lily had signed so many documents that day, had been so overwhelmed by legalese and her father's desperate situation. She'd focused on the terms about money, about her father's debts, about the public expectations. But had she really understood what happened after 2 years? Victoria appeared in the doorway. Are you all right? I was ready to intervene if needed. I'm fine. Just. Lily stood abruptly. Victoria, do you have copies of my marriage contract? All the documents I signed? Of course. They're in Dante's office safe. Why? I need to read them. Really read them. Can you help me access them? Victoria's expression grew concerned. Mrs. Russo, Lily, whatever Miranda said, you shouldn't let her manipulate you. That woman is poison. I know. But I need to understand exactly what I agreed to. Please. 20 minutes later, Lily sat in Dante's office with the contract spread before her. Most of it she remembered, the financial terms, the public appearance requirements, the 2-year minimum term. But there were clauses she'd glossed over, legal language she hadn't fully processed in her panicked state weeks ago. And there, on page 17, she found what Miranda must have meant. Upon termination of marriage after the minimum 2-year term, both parties agree to a complete severance of relationship. Neither party shall attempt contact, reconciliation, or continuation of the marital relationship beyond the contractual period. Financial settlements as outlined in Section 8 will constitute full and final compensation. Lily read it 3 times, each time feeling colder. Complete severance. No contact. No possibility of continuing their relationship beyond the contract. It was right there in black and white. Dante had built in a guarantee that whatever they had would end cleanly, permanently, with no messy feelings or complications. Had he meant it when he said he was falling for her? Or was that just another performance, keeping her content and compliant until the deal was complete? Lily? Victoria's voice broke through her spiraling thoughts. What did you find? The truth. Lily's voice sounded hollow to her own ears. Dante never intended for this to be more than temporary. He legally bound us to walk away from each other. That contract was written before he knew you. Before. Before what? Before he pretended to care about me to make the arrangement work. Lily stood, her hands shaking. I've been such an idiot. Falling for my own husband like some romantic fool when he saw me as nothing but a business solution from the start. That's not true. I've worked for Dante for 5 years, and I've never seen him the way he is with you. Whatever that contract says, his feelings are real. Then why didn't he change the contract? Why not remove that clause if he wanted something different? Lily felt tears spill over and didn't bother to wipe them away. He told me he was falling for me, Victoria. He made me believe this could become something real. But all along, he knew it was temporary. He planned for it to end. Victoria had no answer for that. Lily spent the rest of the afternoon alone in the office, trying to make sense of her emotions. By the time she heard the elevator, Dante coming home, she'd cycled through anger, hurt, betrayal, and had landed somewhere in the vicinity of numb resignation. She heard him call her name, heard his footsteps approaching the office. When he appeared in the doorway, his face lit up the way it always did when he first saw her each day, genuine happiness that Lily had foolishly believed meant something. There you are. I've been texting. He stopped, taking in her expression, the contract still spread on his desk. His face went carefully blank. What's this about? Miranda came to see me today. Lily's voice was surprisingly steady. She told me to read the contract. Really read it? So I did. Dante's jaw tightened. Miranda has no business. Is it true? Lily interrupted. Page 17. Complete severance after 2 years. No contact, no continuation. Did you really write that into our marriage contract? Lily, that was before. Before what? Before you needed me to be convincing as your wife. Before you realized you'd have to pretend to care about me to make this work. She stood, facing him across the desk. You told me you were falling for me. You made me believe this was becoming real. But all along, you'd legally guaranteed it would end. That contract was written when this was purely business, Dante said, his voice strained. Before I knew you, before I understood what we could be. Then change it. The words burst out of Lily like a challenge. If you want something different, if your feelings are real, change the contract. Remove that clause. Show me this isn't just a performance. Dante went very still. It's not that simple. It is that simple. You're Dante Russo. You can do anything you want. Unless, understanding crashed over her. Unless you don't want to change it. Unless you still want that clean exit in 2 years. That's not, he stopped, seeming to struggle with words. Lily, you're not being rational. Don't. Her voice cracked. Don't tell me I'm being irrational for having feelings you encouraged. For believing you when you said you cared about me. I do care about you. But not enough to change a contract. Not enough to commit to. Something beyond 2 years. Not enough to risk actually loving me. Lily grabbed the contract, her hands shaking. You know what the saddest part is? I was ready to tell you I love you. I was planning this whole thing, trying to find the right moment. But there is no right moment, is there? Because you never wanted my love. You just wanted my cooperation. Dante's face had gone ashen. Lily. I need some space. She walked past him toward the bedroom. I'm going to stay with Chloe for a few days. Give us both time to think about what this marriage actually is. You can't just leave. We have obligations, appearances. Lily spun around, and the look on her face stopped him mid-sentence. That's what you're worried about? Appearances? Not that your wife is walking out because she just realized you never planned to actually keep her. That's not fair. No, what's not fair is making me fall in love with you when you were always going to let me go. She wiped at her tears angrily. I'll be back for any events Victoria schedules. I'll play the perfect wife in public. But I need distance, Dante. I need to remember that this is business, not real life. You taught me that today. She packed a bag while Dante stood in the doorway, watching with an expression she couldn't read. When she was ready to leave, he finally spoke. I never meant to hurt you. I know. And that was the worst part, she did know. Dante hadn't set out to break her heart. He'd just been protecting his own, and she'd been collateral damage. But you did hurt me. And I need to figure out if I can keep doing this, knowing it has an expiration date. In the elevator, Lily finally let herself break down, sobbing as the floors ticked by. She'd been so stupid, so naive. She'd known from the beginning this was temporary, but she'd let herself hope. Let herself believe that their connection was strong enough to overcome a contract. But Dante had written that severance clause before he ever met her. And he'd chosen not to change it even after knowing her, after claiming to fall for her. That said everything she needed to know. Her phone buzzed as the elevator reached the lobby. Dante, please don't go. Let's talk about this. Lily turned off her phone and walked out into the November cold, heading for Chloe's apartment in Brooklyn and the life she'd left behind. Sometimes love wasn't enough. Sometimes contracts and walls and fear were stronger. And sometimes you had to walk away from your own husband to save whatever was left of your heart. Chloe's apartment in Brooklyn felt like a time capsule, cramped and familiar, smelling of the lavender candles she loved and the Chinese takeout they'd lived on during college. Lily sat on the familiar lumpy couch, wrapped in an old blanket, feeling like she'd stepped back into her old life. Except nothing felt the same. I brought reinforcements, Chloe announced, returning from the kitchen with ice cream, wine, and an assortment of snacks that constituted their traditional breakup care package. Although technically, can you have a breakup when you're still legally married? I don't know what this is, Lily admitted, accepting a glass of wine. A separation? A reality check? A massive mistake? It's you protecting yourself. Chloe settled beside her. You did the right thing, Lil. You can't stay with someone who's already planning to leave you. But even as she said it, Lily wondered if that was true. Yes, the contract said complete severance. But Dante's face when she'd walked out, that hadn't looked like a man who wanted her gone. That had looked like pain. Her phone, which she'd finally turned back on, buzzed constantly. Text after text from Dante. Please come home. Let me explain. You're right to be angry. But don't shut me out. I'm not good at this. At feelings, at vulnerability. But I'm trying. For you. I love you. Lily stared at that last message for a long time. 3 words she desperately wanted to hear. 3 words that should have changed everything. But he'd sent them via text after she'd left, not said them to her face when it mattered. He says he loves me, she told Chloe quietly. Of course he does. Now that you're gone. Chloe's tone was skeptical. Men always realize what they have when they lose it. Question is, do you believe him? I don't know. Lily set down her phone. Part of me does. The part that's seen him vulnerable, that knows he's capable of real feeling beneath all that ice. But the other part, the part that read that contract, can't forget that he planned for this to end. He built in a guarantee that we'd separate. Maybe he was protecting himself. You said his ex destroyed him. Miranda. Just saying the name left a bitter taste. She came to see me, you know. Warned me that Dante was incapable of love, that I was deluding myself. At the time, I thought she was just being vindictive. Now I'm not sure. Chloe was quiet for a moment. Can I say something you might not want to hear? When has that ever stopped you? Fair point. Chloe took a sip of wine. I think you're both terrified. Dante's scared of getting hurt again, so he built in an escape clause. You're scared of not being enough, so you're running before he can leave you. You're both so busy protecting yourselves that you're destroying what you actually have. The words hit harder than Lily wanted to admit. So what am I supposed to do? Go back and pretend that contract doesn't exist? No. Go back and tell him to change it. Not ask, tell. You're his wife, Lily. You have the right to demand he choose you, fully and without conditions. And if he won't? Chloe shrugged. Then you have your answer about whether he's worth fighting for. Lily spent 3 days at Chloe's, avoiding Dante's calls and messages, trying to sort through her tangled emotions. Her father called, worried. Victoria had apparently informed him there was tension between the newlyweds. Lily assured him everything was fine, hating the lie but not ready to explain the truth. On the 4th day, Victoria showed up at Chloe's door. How did you find me? Lily asked, though she wasn't really surprised. Dante pays me very well to be resourceful. Victoria's expression was sympathetic. May I come in? I'd like to talk to you about something. They sat at Chloe's tiny kitchen table. Chloe had tactfully retreated to her bedroom, and Victoria pulled out her tablet. I'm not here to convince you to go back to him, she said. That's your decision. But I think you should know what's been happening since you left. I don't. Please. Just listen. Victoria pulled up something on her tablet. This is Dante's calendar. See these? She pointed to blocks of meetings. Cancelled. All of them. Every single meeting for the past 3 days, including the final Castellano signing. Lily's eyes widened. He cancelled the Castellano deal. Not cancelled, postponed. He told Giovanni he had a personal emergency that required his immediate attention. Giovanni was understanding, but Lily, you have to understand what that means. Dante has never, in all the years I've worked for him, put anything before business. Nothing. So he's upset. That doesn't change the contract. Let me finish. Victoria swiped to another screen. This is an email Dante sent to his lawyers 2 days ago. He's having them draft a completely new marital agreement. One with no expiration date, no severance clause, no predetermined ending. He's making it permanent, Lily. He's choosing you. Lily's heart stuttered. Why didn't he tell me? Because he wanted to have it ready before he came to you. He wanted to prove, in writing, that he's serious about keeping you. That this isn't just words, it's a legal commitment. Victoria set down her tablet. He's been at the penthouse for 3 days, barely sleeping, working with the lawyers to get every detail right. I've never seen him like this. Frantic, almost. Like he's terrified he's lost you for good. But the original contract, why did he write it that way in the first place? Fear, Victoria said simply. You have to understand, after Miranda, Dante was destroyed. Not just professionally, but emotionally. He swore he'd never let anyone close enough to hurt him again. When he created your marriage contract, he built in protections, for both of you, he'd argue, but really for himself. A guaranteed exit so he couldn't be trapped or betrayed. But then he met me. Then he met you. Victoria's smile was gentle. And everything changed. He started letting his walls down, started feeling things he'd shut off years ago. It terrified him, but he couldn't help himself. And now he's trying to fix it, trying to show you he wants something real. But he needs time to do it right. Lily felt tears burn her eyes. I walked out on him, Victoria. I called him a liar, told him he never cared about me. And he understood why. He told me himself, he said you had every right to be angry, that he'd handled everything wrong. Victoria reached across the table to squeeze Lily's hand. But he's fixing it now. The question is, will you let him? After Victoria left, Lily sat alone with her thoughts. Everything she'd believed, that Dante wanted her gone, that his feelings were a performance, that the contract proved he didn't love her, all of it had been wrong. He'd been protecting himself, just like she'd been protecting herself. Two people too scared to admit what they really wanted. But he was changing the contract. Making it permanent. Choosing her. The question was, would she choose him back? That evening, Lily stood outside the building that had become home, staring up at the top floor where Dante waited. Her hands shook as she nodded to the doorman, the same one who'd seen her leave in tears 4 days ago, and stepped into the elevator. The ride up felt eternal. When the elevator opened into the foyer, the penthouse was dark except for the lights of the city beyond the windows. For a moment, Lily thought Dante might not be home. Then she heard music, soft jazz, the kind they'd played during their first dinner together. She followed the sound to the living room and stopped in the doorway. Dante stood by the windows, still in the clothes he'd probably worn all day, wrinkled dress shirt, slacks, no shoes. He looked exhausted, his usually impeccable appearance disheveled in a way she'd never seen. But it was his expression when he turned and saw her that made her breath catch. Raw. Vulnerable. Desperate. Lily. Her name was barely a whisper. You came back. Victoria told me about the contract. The new one. She took a step into the room. Why didn't you tell me yourself? Because I wanted it to be perfect. Wanted to have proof, in writing, that I meant what I said. He moved toward her slowly, as if afraid she might bolt. I've handled everything wrong from the beginning. The original contract, the severance clause, I thought I was protecting myself. Keeping things clean and simple. But then I fell in love with you, and nothing was simple anymore. You love me. She needed to hear him say it out loud, not through a text. I love you. The words seemed to cost him, but he said them firmly, clearly. I love how you see through my walls, how you call me out when I'm being cold, how you make me want to be better. I love your laugh, your kindness, the way you stress bake when you're anxious. I love everything about you, Lily. And I'm terrified I've ruined it. Tears spilled down Lily's cheeks. I love you too. I've been trying not to, trying to protect myself, but I can't help it. You're everything I never knew I needed. Dante closed the distance between them in 2 strides, cupping her face with trembling hands. Then let me fix this. Let me show you I'm serious. The new contract, it has no end date. No severance clause. Just a commitment to build something real, for as long as we both want it. Will you sign it? Will you give me another chance? I don't need a new contract, Dante. Lily placed her hands over his. I need you. The real you, without the walls, without the fear. Can you give me that? I'll try. Every day, I'll try. He pressed his forehead to hers. I'm not good at this, at being open, at being vulnerable. But for you, I'll learn. I'll do whatever it takes to keep you. Then kiss me, Lily whispered. And take me to bed. And tomorrow we'll figure out the rest together. Dante kissed her like a drowning man finding air, desperate, grateful, full of promises. When he swept her into his arms and carried her toward their bedroom, Lily wrapped her arms around his neck and let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, they could make this work. The contract had brought them together. But love, messy, complicated, terrifying love, would keep them together. Later, wrapped in each other's arms with the city lights painting patterns on the ceiling, Dante traced lazy circles on Lily's shoulder. I never told you why I really wrote that severance clause, he said quietly. Lily turned to look at him. Tell me now. After Miranda, I was broken in ways I didn't even realize. I threw myself into work, built my empire higher, made more money than I'd ever need. But inside, I was hollow. Empty. And I was convinced that's all I'd ever be. His jaw tightened. When I created your contract, I built in that clause because I couldn't imagine anyone actually wanting to stay with me. Not the real me. I thought 2 years was generous, more than anyone would willingly endure. Oh, Dante. But then you walked into my life and saw past all the ice, all the walls. You looked at me like I was worth knowing, worth caring about. And for the first time in 5 years, I felt human again. He tilted her chin up so she had to meet his eyes. You didn't just melt the Ice King, Lily. You reminded me I was still alive underneath. That I was capable of feeling, of loving, of being loved. That's why I have to change that contract. Because 2 years isn't enough. A lifetime wouldn't be enough. Fresh tears slipped down Lily's cheeks. I was so scared you didn't want me. That I was just another business arrangement. You were never just business. From that first kiss, you were something else entirely. Something that terrified me because I knew you had the power to destroy me far worse than Miranda ever did. He kissed her forehead. But I'd rather risk being destroyed by you than spend another day protecting myself from feeling this way. No one's getting destroyed, Lily said firmly. We're going to figure this out together. Build something real. Something permanent. Something permanent, she agreed. They made love again, slower this time, with a tenderness that spoke of new beginnings and second chances. And when Lily fell asleep in Dante's arms, she did so knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, they'd face them together. The next morning, Dante presented her with the new contract. Lily read through it carefully, no expiration date, no severance clause, just provisions for a genuine marriage with the same rights and protections as any other couple. There's one more thing, Dante said, pulling out a small velvet box. Inside was a ring, not the platinum band from their rushed City Hall wedding, but something more personal. A stunning sapphire surrounded by diamonds. I bought this the day after the Castellano Gala. I wanted to give you something that represented our real marriage, not the business arrangement. Will you wear it? Lily held out her hand, and Dante slid the ring onto her finger beside her wedding band. It was beautiful, personal, perfect. I love it, she whispered. I love you. I love you too. He pulled her close. Now, how do you feel about calling your father and telling him his daughter's marriage is actually a love story? Lily laughed through her tears. He's going to say, I told you so. He predicted this, you know. Said we might build something real. Smart man. Dante kissed her temple. We should listen to him more often. They spent the day together, no work, no obligations, just Dante and Lily, learning how to be a real couple rather than contractual partners. They cooked breakfast together, walked through Central Park despite the cold, talked about their future in concrete terms rather than hypotheticals limited to 2 years. I want kids someday, Lily admitted as they sat on a park bench, watching people hurry past. I know we haven't talked about it, but I need you to know that's something I want. Dante was quiet for a moment, then squeezed her hand. I want that too. Not right away, we should have time just for us first. But yes, someday. A family. With you. The simple statement made Lily's heart soar. This was real. They were planning a real future, not just surviving a contractual obligation. That evening, Dante called Giovanni Castellano to reschedule the contract signing. Giovanni's warm laughter echoed through the speakerphone. I knew something was wrong when you cancelled, the older man said. But I also knew it had to be about your wife. Am I right? You're right, Dante admitted. We had some things to work through. But we're solid now. Stronger than before. Good. Marriage isn't easy, my boy, especially not when both people are as stubborn as you and Lily clearly are. But the fights, the reconciliations, that's what makes it real. That's what makes it last. Giovanni's tone turned serious. Reschedule for whenever you're ready. The deal will wait. Family comes first. After they hung up, Lily looked at Dante with wonder. He said family. He meant us. We are family now, Dante agreed. For real this time. No contracts, no clauses, no expiration dates. Just us, building a life together. As the sun set over Manhattan, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Lily leaned against her husband and thought about how far they'd come. From a desperate business arrangement to something neither of them had planned for. Love had found them in the most unlikely circumstances. And now, finally, they were brave enough to embrace it. The Ice King had melted completely. And Lily had found her home in his arms. The weeks following their reconciliation felt like falling in love all over again, but deeper this time, without the barriers of contracts and predetermined endings. Dante was different, more open, as if removing that severance clause had freed something fundamental in him. He came home earlier, cancelled fewer dinners, and made Lily his priority in ways that still surprised her. When she mentioned wanting to restart her marketing career, maybe freelance, something flexible, he immediately offered to connect her with his network, then caught himself. Actually, you don't need my help, do you? You're perfectly capable of building your own client base. His smile was proud. I'm still learning not to fix everything for you. I appreciate the impulse, Lily said, kissing him. But yes, I need to do this myself. Figure out who I am in this new life, beyond being your wife. You're Lily Russo, Dante said firmly. Marketing genius, stress baker, the woman who tamed the Ice King. You're going to be amazing at whatever you choose to do. The belief in his voice made her heart swell. This was what she'd needed, a partner who supported rather than controlled, who trusted her capability rather than trying to manage her life. Lily started slowly, reaching out to former colleagues, building a portfolio, taking on small projects. It felt good to use her skills again, to be more than just a billionaire's wife attending charity events. And Dante genuinely celebrated each small victory, her first client, her first successful campaign, the moment her work was featured in a trade publication. I'm proud of you, he said one evening, studying the article about her latest project. You could have just lived off my money, played the society wife. But you're building something of your own. I need to be more than Mrs. Dante Russo, Lily explained. Not because being your wife isn't enough, but because I need to know I'm still me. That I didn't lose myself in this marriage. You haven't. If anything, you're more yourself than ever. Dante pulled her close. And I love watching you shine. The Castellano deal closed in early December with a celebration dinner that felt markedly different from the gala. This time, Lily wasn't nervous or performing, she was simply Dante's wife, comfortable in her role, genuine in her interactions. "You've changed him," Giovanni told her during a quiet moment. "Softened his edges without diminishing his strength. That's a rare gift, my dear." "He's changed me too," Lily admitted. "Taught me to be brave, to ask for what I want, to not settle for less than I deserve. That's what good marriages do, make both people better." Giovanni raised his glass. "To you and Dante. May you have many happy years together." "Many happy years. Not two. Not a contractual limit. Just the open-ended promise of forever." Later that night, as they prepared for bed, Dante seemed unusually thoughtful. "What are you thinking about?" Lily asked, watching him in the bathroom mirror as she removed her makeup. "Christmas," he said. "I usually work through the holidays, it's just another day when you don't have family. But this year, I want to do it properly. With you, with your father. Make it feel like home." Lily turned to face him, her heart full. "You want to celebrate Christmas? I want to celebrate everything with you. Holidays, birthdays, random Tuesdays, all of it." He pulled her close. "I've spent years treating my personal life like an inconvenience, something to minimize or ignore. But being with you taught me that the personal stuff, love, connection, building a life together. Together, that's what actually matters. The business will always be there. But moments with you, those are what I'll remember." Lily kissed him, pouring everything she felt into it. When they finally pulled apart, she said, "Let's do Christmas big then. Invite my dad, Chloe, Victoria if she wants. Make it a real celebration." Victoria would probably prefer hazard pay for attending a social event on her day off, Dante joked. "But yes, let's do it. Our first real Christmas as a couple." Planning Christmas became Lily's new project, and she threw herself into it with enthusiasm that made Dante laugh. She decorated the penthouse with garlands and lights, insisted on getting a massive tree that barely fit in the elevator, and spent hours in the kitchen preparing dishes her mother used to make. "You know, we could hire caterers," Dante pointed out, watching her stress bake for the third day in a row. "But then it wouldn't be ours. I want this to be personal, meaningful. Something we'll remember." She dusted flour off her hands. "Besides, cooking relaxes me. If you say so." He eyed the mountain of cookies skeptically. "Though at this rate, we'll have enough desserts to feed the entire building. Then we'll share with the neighbors. Spread some holiday cheer." She grinned at his expression. "Come on, Ice King. Don't tell me you're against Christmas spirit." "I'm not against it. I'm just not experienced with it." He pulled her close despite the flour on her apron. "But I'm learning. With you, I'm learning all kinds of things I thought I'd given up on. Hope. Joy. The possibility of a real family." The word family hung between them, weighted with meaning. They hadn't talked specifics about children yet, when, how many, what kind of parents they wanted to be. But the desire was there, the possibility hovering in their future like a promise. "We'll be good at it," Lily said softly. "Family, I mean. When we're ready." "We will," Dante agreed. "But right now, I'm just enjoy this, us, building traditions, figuring out who we are together." Christmas morning arrived with unexpected snow, blanketing Manhattan in pristine white. Lily woke to find Dante already up, sitting by the window with coffee, watching the city transform. "Merry Christmas," she said, wrapping her arms around him from behind. "Merry Christmas, wife." He pulled her around to sit in his lap. "I have something for you. We said we'd exchange gifts later, with everyone else. This one's just for us." He pulled out a small wrapped box, and Lily's heart stuttered. It was too small for anything except. Before you panic, Dante said quickly, it's not another ring. Open it. Inside was a key. Not a regular key, but an ornate antique one, clearly decorative. I don't understand, Lily said, examining it. It's symbolic. The key to my heart, my life, everything I am. His voice was rough with emotion. I know that sounds corny, but I couldn't find the right words to tell you what you mean to me. You unlocked something I'd kept sealed away for years. You made me believe in love again, in happiness, in the possibility of forever. So this key represents that. You've already opened every door I'd locked. You have all of me, Lily. Completely. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Dante, that's the most romantic thing anyone's ever, she stopped, overcome. There's more. He pulled out his phone, showing her architectural plans. I bought a house. In Westchester, about an hour from the city. It needs work, but it has good bones, space for a family someday. I thought we could renovate it together, make it ours. The penthouse is mine, from my old life. But this house, this could be ours. A place we build from the ground up, just like our marriage. Lily stared at the plans through her tears. The house was beautiful, colonial style, with a big yard, room to grow. A family home. When did you do this? She managed. Last week. I've been looking for a while, but this one felt right. I wanted to surprise you. He wiped her tears with his thumbs. Is it too much? Too fast? I know we said we'd take things slow. It's perfect. She kissed him deeply. You're perfect. And yes, let's buy a house. Let's build something that's completely ours. They spent Christmas morning in bed, making love and making plans, talking about the future in concrete terms that still felt miraculous. A year ago, Lily had been nobody, struggling to make ends meet, watching her father's company fail, unable to imagine how anything would get better. Now she was here, wrapped in her husband's arms, planning a future that included houses and holidays and the possibility of children. It felt like a dream, except it was real. They'd made it real through honesty, vulnerability, and choosing each other even when it was terrifying. That afternoon, her father arrived bearing gifts and looking better than he had in years. The stress lines around his eyes had faded, his color was good, and he moved with energy Lily hadn't seen since before her mother died. Dad, you look amazing, she said, hugging him tight. I feel amazing. Retirement suits me. He pulled back to study her face. And marriage suits you, baby girl. You're glowing. She is, isn't she? Dante appeared with drinks, and Lily watched the two most important men in her life shake hands warmly. Over the past months, they'd developed genuine respect for each other, no longer just tied by a business arrangement, but connected by their mutual love for Lily. Chloe arrived with her new boyfriend, a development Lily had missed while wrapped up in her own drama, and even Victoria came for a few hours, bringing champagne and surprisingly sharp wit once she let her professional mask slip. They ate too much, drank too much, laughed until their stomachs hurt. It was exactly what Christmas should be, messy, loud, full of love and connection. At one point, Lily looked around. The table at these people who'd become her family and felt overwhelming gratitude. What are you thinking about? Dante murmured, his hand finding hers under the table. That I'm happy, she whispered back. Really, genuinely happy. For the first time in years. Me too. He kissed her temple. Thank you for that. For making me believe happiness was possible. After dinner, they gathered around the tree for gifts. Lily had gotten her father a cruise he'd always dreamed about, Chloe a designer bag she'd been coveting, Victoria a first edition book she'd mentioned once in passing. But it was Dante's gift that made her cry. Inside an unassuming box was a leather portfolio, and inside that, documents. What is this? She asked, confused. Scholarship fund, Dante explained. In your mother's name. For students pursuing marketing degrees who've lost a parent to cancer. You told me once you wished you could help kids like you, kids who have talent but might not be able to afford college because of medical bills. Now you can. Lily couldn't speak. She just launched herself at Dante, hugging him so tight he laughed. I'll take that as approval, he said, arms wrapping around her. It's perfect, she managed through tears. It's the most thoughtful thing anyone's ever done for me. You've given me everything, Lily. A real life, real love, the possibility of a real future. This is just a small way to say thank you. Her father watched them with suspicion of moisture in his own eyes. You two are going to make me cry at Christmas dinner, he complained. That's not allowed. New tradition, Chloe declared, raising her glass. Crying at Christmas because we're all stupidly happy and in love. They toasted to that, to new traditions and new beginnings, to love that surprised you and marriages that became real against all odds. Later, after everyone had left and it was just Dante and Lily again, they stood by the windows watching snow continue to fall over the city. I keep thinking about that contract, Lily admitted. The original one, with the expiration date. How close we came to actually following through with it. We never would have, Dante said with certainty. Even if neither of us had been brave enough to change it, we never would have walked away from each other. Not after everything we built. How can you be so sure? Because I know us now. I know how stubborn you are, how you fight for what you want. And I know myself well enough to know I'd never have let you go without a fight. We might have been stupid enough to wait until the last minute, but we would have figured it out. Lily leaned against him, watching snow transform Manhattan into something magical. I'm glad we didn't wait. I'm glad we were brave. Me too. Dante turned her in his arms. Merry Christmas, Lily Russo. Here's to our first of many. Many, many more, she agreed, kissing him as snow fell and the city sparkled and their first real Christmas became a memory they'd treasure forever. They'd started as strangers bound by a contract, evolved into partners building something real, and had become what Lily never thought possible, genuinely, deeply in love. The Ice King had melted completely. And in his place was just Dante, imperfect, vulnerable, hers. And that was more valuable than any business deal, any amount of money, any carefully constructed arrangement. That was everything. The late afternoon sun filtered through the windows of the Westchester house, casting golden light across hardwood floors they'd chosen together, walls they'd painted in colors that made Lily happy, furniture that reflected both their tastes rather than just Dante's minimalist aesthetic. Lily stood in what would become the nursery, one hand resting on her rounded belly, the other holding paint swatches. 6 months pregnant, and she still couldn't quite believe it was real. That she was here, in this house they'd built together, carrying Dante's child, living a life that had started as a desperate business arrangement and had become everything she'd never dared to dream. Still can't decide between the sage green and the butter yellow? Dante's voice came from the doorway, warm with affection. She turned to find him leaning against the frame, tie loosened from a day of meetings in the city, jacket slung over his shoulder. Even after 2 years of marriage, real marriage, not the contractual kind, the sight of him still made her heart skip. I keep changing my mind, she admitted. What if we pick the wrong color and traumatize our child for life? Then we'll repaint. We can afford therapy. He crossed to her, wrapping his arms around her from behind, his hands settling over hers on her belly. Have I mentioned today that you're beautiful? Only twice. You're slipping, Russo. Then let me remedy that. You're absolutely stunning, wife. Pregnancy suits you. He kissed her neck. Though I may be biased. Lily leaned back against him, marveling at how natural this felt, the casual affection, the easy intimacy, the complete lack of walls between them. It had taken time to get here. Even after changing the contract, even after declaring their love, Dante had struggled with vulnerability. Old habits died hard. But they'd worked on it together. Couples therapy, Dante's idea, surprisingly. Weekly check-ins where they talked about everything, even the uncomfortable stuff. Slowly. Learning that conflict didn't mean betrayal, that disagreements didn't mean abandonment. What are you thinking about? Dante murmured against her hair. How far we've come. 2 years ago today, we were signing that ridiculous contract in a conference room, both terrified and trying to hide it. Ah yes, our anniversary. The day I legally acquired a wife like she was a corporate asset. His tone was self-deprecating. I was such an idiot. You were protecting yourself. We both were. She turned in his arms. But look at us now. Real marriage, real love, real baby on the way. We did it, Dante. We made something beautiful out of a business deal. You made something beautiful. I just got lucky enough to be part of it. He cupped her face tenderly. I have something for you. Anniversary gift. We said no gifts this year. The house renovations are expensive. When have I ever listened to rules? He pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket. Open it. Inside were documents. Lily scanned them, confused at first, then her eyes widened. You dissolved the original contract. Completely. Every trace of it. As if it never existed. Dante's expression was serious. I wanted our anniversary to mark something different this year. Not the day we signed a business arrangement, but the day we chose to build a real marriage on our own terms, with no legal obligations holding us together. Just love. Just choice. Lily felt tears. Pregnancy hormones made her cry at everything these days, but these were happy tears. You didn't have to do this. Yes, I did. That contract was my safety net, my way of controlling something that terrified me. But I don't need it anymore. I don't need legal guarantees or exit strategies. I just need you, Lily. For the rest of my life, I just need you. She kissed him, pouring 2 years of love and gratitude and joy into it. When they finally pulled apart, she was definitely crying. Damn hormones, she muttered, wiping her eyes. I think they're beautiful. You're beautiful. He pressed his hand to her belly. Both of you. Their daughter, they'd found out 2 weeks ago, kicked against his palm, and Dante's face lit up with wonder that still hadn't faded. The Ice King, melted completely by a tiny human he hadn't even met yet. She likes your voice, Lily said, watching his expression. She has good taste. Takes after her mother. He knelt down, pressing his forehead gently to Lily's stomach. Hey, baby girl. Your mom and I are arguing about paint colors for your room. What do you think? Sage green or butter yellow? Another kick, stronger this time. I think that was a vote for yellow, Lily laughed. Yellow it is. Dante stood, pulling Lily close again. Though knowing our daughter, she'll probably hate both and demand hot pink when she's 3. Our daughter. I love hearing you say that. I love saying it. I love all of this, you, the house, the baby, the life we're building. He paused. I never thought I'd have this, Lily. A real family. Someone who loves me not for my money or connections, but for who I actually am. Someone who sees past the Ice King to just Dante. Just Dante is my favorite person in the world. She kissed him softly. Well, tied with baby girl Russo. You'll have to share the top spot soon. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with all of it. He glanced around the nursery, at the house beyond, at the life they'd created. Remember when you asked me if I believed in happy endings? Back before we were married? I don't think I ever asked you that. Maybe it was something I asked myself. He pulled her toward the door. Come on. I have one more surprise. Downstairs, the dining room had been transformed. Candles everywhere, rose petals scattered across the table, their wedding song playing softly from hidden speakers. Dante, what? I know we said no gifts, no big celebration. But 2 years ago, we got married in a rushed city hall ceremony with barely any witnesses. We did it because we had to, not because we wanted to. He took both her hands. So I wanted to give us this, a real anniversary dinner, a celebration of everything we've chosen since then. The table was set with their favorite foods, not catered, Lily realized, but made by Dante himself. He'd been taking cooking classes over the past year, determined to contribute to their life in ways that didn't involve just money. You cooked all this? I had help. Your father supervised via video call to make sure I didn't poison you. He pulled out her chair. Sit. Let me celebrate my wife properly. Dinner was imperfect, the chicken slightly dry, the vegetables overcooked, but it was the most romantic meal Lily had ever had. Because Dante had made it, had put thought and effort into creating something special just for her. I have something for you too, Lily said over dessert. Even though we said no gifts. She pulled out a slim wrapped package. Inside was a book, a photo album she'd been working on for months. Every moment of their 2 years together, documented and arranged with care. Their city hall wedding. Their first real dinner. The Castellano Gala. Christmas. The house hunting. Renovations. Quiet moments and big celebrations. The evolution of strangers to partners to lovers to family. Dante paged through it slowly, his expression growing increasingly emotional. When he reached the last page, a sonogram image of their daughter with the caption, "The best deal we ever made," his eyes glistened with unshed tears. Lily, this is, his voice broke. This is perfect. This is everything. That's what you are to me. Everything. She reached across the table to take his hand. Thank you for taking a chance on me. Thank you for letting me past your walls. Thank you for becoming the man I see in these photos, open, vulnerable. Capable of so much love. Thank you for being patient while I figured out how to be that man. For not giving up when I was still hiding behind the Ice King persona. He stood, moving around the table to kneel beside her chair. Lily Russo, would you marry me? Again, I mean. For real this time, with our families there, with vows we write ourselves, with a celebration of everything we've built together. Lily's heart soared. Are you asking me to renew our vows? I'm asking you to marry me the way I should have asked the first time. Not because of a contract or a business deal, but because I love you more than I thought it was possible to love anyone. Because you're my partner, my best friend, the mother of my child. Because I want to stand in front of everyone we love and declare that choosing you was the best decision I ever made. Yes, Lily whispered, then louder, yes. Of course yes. Dante stood, pulling her up with him, kissing her deeply. When they pulled apart, both were crying and laughing at the same time. I can't believe you proposed in our kitchen, Lily said. I proposed in our home. The one we built together. Seemed fitting. He pressed his hand to her belly again. Plus, we had a witness. Baby girl Russo approved, I felt her kick. She's going to be so spoiled. Between you and my dad and Chloe. Completely spoiled. But also loved, protected, taught to be strong and kind and brave. Like her mother. Dante wiped Lily's tears with his thumbs. When do you want to do it? The vow renewal. After the baby comes. When I'm not huge and exhausted and emotional about everything. You're beautiful, huge and exhausted and emotional. But okay, we'll wait until you're ready. He pulled her close, swaying gently to the music still playing. Dance with me, wife. Let's celebrate 2 years of the best mistake I ever made. Best decision, Lily corrected, letting him lead her in a slow dance around their kitchen. Not a mistake. Never a mistake. You're right. Best decision. Scary as hell at the time, but absolutely the right choice. They danced until the candles burned low and the baby kicked protests about the late hour. Upstairs, Lily changed into comfortable pajamas while Dante extinguished candles and cleaned up from dinner, domestic routines that still felt precious, still felt new even after 2 years. In bed, wrapped in his arms with their daughter moving between them, Lily thought about the terrified woman who'd walked into that law office 2 years ago. Who'd signed a contract binding herself to a stranger, who'd been so afraid of losing herself in an arrangement that felt more like a prison than a partnership. That woman couldn't have imagined this, lying in a house they'd chosen together, carrying a child they'd created from love, wrapped in the arms of a man who'd become her everything. "What are you thinking about?" Dante asked, his hand tracing lazy patterns on her belly. "That I'd do it all again. Sign that contract, marry you at City Hall, go through all the fear and uncertainty. Because it led to this. To us. Me too. Though I'd do some things differently." "Like what?" "I'd kiss you at our first meeting instead of playing it cool. I'd tell you I was falling for you weeks earlier. I'd change that stupid contract the moment I realized you were something special, not wait until you walked out." He pressed a kiss to her shoulder. "But most of all, I'd trust myself, trust us, sooner. We wasted time being scared when we could have just been happy. We're happy now. That's what matters. We are. Stupidly, ridiculously happy." His voice held wonder. "The Ice King is completely, utterly gone. In his place is just a man hopelessly in love with his wife and counting down the days until he meets his daughter." 93 days, Lily said. "Not that I'm counting. I am. Ever. Single one." He settled them more comfortably, his arms protective around her. "Get some sleep, love. Tomorrow we paint the nursery yellow and start building the next chapter of our story." As Lily drifted off, safe and warm and loved, she sent up a silent thank you to her past self, the one who'd been brave enough to sign that contract, scared enough to run when it got hard, and courageous enough to come back and fight for what they had. That woman had saved her father's company. But more importantly, she'd saved herself. She'd found love in the most unexpected place, with the most unexpected person. And sometimes, Lily thought sleepily, the best things in life came from the scariest decisions. Like marrying a stranger. Like falling in love with the Ice King. Like choosing to build forever with someone who'd started as just a business arrangement. Their story had begun with a contract. But it would continue long after all the paperwork was dust, written in love, in choice, in the family they were creating together. And that was the best deal either of them had ever made.